If that's the case, see, no, I just derailed myself. I do this all the time. Spit back to me what I just said to you in your words.
Um, I'm gonna have to edit this part out.
No, I think you should keep it in. What were you talking about before I went on my tirade? You remember that?
I have no idea now.
See,
No.
this is the best. Just a couple of younger guys forgetting what they were talking about. Okay, we were talking
But you
about
can call me. Look,
time.
Enter the world of magic mushrooms with Microdose U.
hey, so since I started microdosing magic mushrooms, it's been about 3.5 years now. There's some things other than totally taking care of and helping me with my depression and anxiety. There's some other things that have like come into the limelight, some questions I have, and some maybe some answers even. And I've got my good buddy Uncle Hashi here with me today, and we're going to talk about some deep little questions that the mushrooms are bringing up. So, hey, Uncle, how you doing there? Welcome. Good to have you back here.
Great, thank you, Dave. Glad to be here. Excited as always, and I hope this is a great episode.
I have no doubt it's going to be a great episode. So let's get right into this, Uncle. And by the way, if you're listening or watching, and if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you press that subscribe button and enable notifications so you won't miss any episodes, because I put out a brand new episode every Wednesday and Friday. And make sure you check those show notes, as well as my website, microdoseu.com. So, Uncle Hashi, okay, I got to share something with you. So, for 3.5 years, I've been doing this microdosing thing with an occasional little bit of a larger dose. And something came to me, it's come to me over time. And that's kind of a good segue into it, because it's about time. And, we as people, human beings, think of time as it's a timeline. You're born, you go along this timeline, all these events happen, and then at some point you pass away. And that's same thing is happening to everybody else on the planet. And the same thing is happening to the planet. Like the planet is, I don't know, billions of years old, I guess. And so this timeline just moves along and moves along. However, it's been coming to me more recently too, that the way that we see time, I'm really starting to believe pretty strongly now, is a total illusion. I'm of the belief now that basically everything has already happened, and we're just experiencing our time right now. We're a certain point on this timeline as we move along, but everything in the past has already taken place, as well as everything in the future. And I've got some little hints that kind of come into my life that kind of, I can't say they prove it, but they kind of like reinforce my beliefs. Now, Uncle Hashi, have you ever thought of it, maybe during some of your trips or even between trips? Have you ever come up with anything about time like this? Am I off base, or is it weird, or do you think there's something to this?
Um, some of my homies will be they've heard this a whole lot. I always say, "What is time?" To to get in people's heads. I'm a big believer in the eternal now, right? It's always now. Based off of the questions, can you go to the past or the future? No. So if I can't actually go there, how do I know that, right? If I didn't have this measure of time to put, to quantify what the past and the future is, what is it? And if you create your own reality, how does time even matter?
Uncle, good to have you. Well, okay, I'm going to disagree with you for a second, because
Yes.
and in
Good.
some of my in some of my deep sessions in my in the sensory deprivation float spa. And for those of you that have never been to one, I've spoken about it in the past. Like, you don't have to do the plant medicine, you don't have to, but you're in a little pod where you're floating on water that's like heavily salted, completely dark, no sound, no light, no nothing, and you just feel like you're floating in outer space, and you come to a lot of realizations and a lot of thoughts, and I love it, and I want to go back soon. But last time I was in the float spa, I started feeling that, okay, I'm in the float spa right now. It's this year, it's this day, it's this month. I am right now. However, it also came to me that my life is still taking place everywhere else on this timeline. It's going on right now. I mean, it's taken place. It's done. It's it's there. And the only reason I feel that right now, as we're recording this, let's just say it's November 2024. It's going to be that in a couple of days, so it's safe to say that November 2024. The only reason I feel that is because that's where I am right now on my timeline. However, another part of Dr. Dave might be on the timeline back in 1984, and that's all he knows because he doesn't know the future. So he's there and he thinks, okay, that's the time that's going on right now. But I submit to you and to everybody else that everything is taking place all at once and it's already taken place. I feel pretty strongly that that's what time is, but of course we can't explain it very deeply. It's just very hard to explain, and the human brain probably can't conceive it. We're not supposed to understand it. We're supposed to feel what everybody else feels. Oh, okay, it's 2:00 in an hour. It's going to be 3:00. Then it's going to be 4:00. But no, I say everything's already taken place.
So what I heard is that you agree with me, and I'll tell you why. If Because you said everything has already occurred, but also it's occurring simultaneously in the future. So isn't that all happening now?
I think okay, that's a great question. I think everything has happened, but we're just living on the timeline in this particular time that we feel we're in right now. But again, the David Maddow in 1984, and I picked that year for a certain reason. I'll get back to that shortly, but there's a definite reason I picked that year. The David Maddow that's doing something in 1984, like taking a nap on his bed when his kids are taking a nap, he feels that that's the only time that's taken place right at that time. He doesn't realize that along that timeline, Dr. Dave is doing something else in another time. I don't know if I can articulate it well. I don't know if that makes any sense, but in other words, I feel right now that it's 2024 just because we're talking in this realm. But the
Well,
David Maddow,
there's your problem. It's 2016.
oh, is it
No,
really?
but imagine somebody's like, no, it's not that year.
Well, if it's truly if we well yeah, see, that's the thing. It's hard to explain because I feel right now as you and I are speaking, I feel it's 2024. But the another part of me on this timeline, if we just go back to the past, he's living the same life right now. He feels that it's 1984. And I'll tell you something else, Uncle. Here's something that's very strange. I don't know how to explain this, but I think it all ties into this whole time thing. So, I'm right now as we speak, at least I feel in this part of the timeline, I am 69 years old. However, when I go into the float spa or I go into some plant medicine, I always seem to go back in time, and I actually feel like I'm right there. It's almost like I feel like, okay, and one of the times is, and it's a very insignificant part of, there's nothing significant about this whatsoever, but it's 1984. I'm in one of my old houses with my ex-wife. She's my wife at that time. I didn't realize she would probably become my ex-wife, but maybe there was a way to figure that out. But I'm like, we're just taking a nap in the middle of the afternoon, and our kids are very, very young, and they're taking a nap. And there's nothing significant about that. But for some reason, I feel like I oftentimes go back to that exact point in my life, and I feel like I'm right there. And I don't know why, but it happens. And there are several other points in my life, maybe 3 to 4 other points in my life. Again, insignificant. Nothing happening that's significant, but I go back to these points and I feel that I'm there, and I don't have an explanation. I don't know why.
I wish, I guess if I knew the answer to that, we'd both be rich. I understand what you're saying. I have not ever thought about it like that. Did you just watch, do you have Apple TV?
I do have Apple TV.
Did you just watch Before? Is that what it's called? There's a series where the guy's revisiting basically a younger version of himself, and it's exactly like what you're talking about. I think it's new, but I watched it and it was a good mind bender. But it was the same type of thought, right? How can I observe me on my timeline, right, at another time? Is that kind of where you're going? Like you're saying you experienced that, right? Like in that deprivation, you were able to experience another time, another moment on your timeline that you were familiar with in the past.
That is
Multiples. I'm sorry.
no, that's exactly right. I felt that I was, and but yeah, I felt that I was like in that exact moment. However, the funny thing is, whenever I go deep into a situation like that, this is what I can't really explain. I can't explain a lot. There's a lot of it I can't explain. But the weird thing that I really can't explain is, why does it always take me back to that particular point? Like, again, in my old house with my ex-wife, taking a nap with my kids, taking in my very, very young kids. They're probably, in the 2 to 3 year old range. They're taking a nap in their rooms. It was the middle of the afternoon. The kids take naps at that age. And it takes me back to that exact time. That's what I can't figure out. There's a reason it's taken me back to that time, and it's an insignificant time, unless it's significant, but I just don't realize what the significance is. That could be another possibility. And I know we're going pretty deep here, and I know the average person probably never even thinks about this kind of stuff. Okay, today's Tuesday, tomorrow's Wednesday, the next day's Thursday. I'm going to be getting older and older. I say that's our imagination. I don't think that's the way it truly is.
I agree, and I like to say that psychedelics remove the filter. So in my vision of or my vision, my faith in that the universe is experiencing itself through us, right? It's kind of what I believe. Sorry if I'm drawing lines in the sand to anybody. It's not that deep. But if that's if that's the case, see, no, I just derailed myself. I do this all the time. Spit back to me what I just said to you in your words.
Um, I'm gonna have to edit this part out.
No, I think you should keep it in. What were you talking about before I went on my tirade? You remember that?
I have no fucking idea now.
See,
No.
this is the best. Just a couple of younger guys forgetting what they were talking about. Okay, we were talking
But you
about
can call me look.
time.
Call me young. That's fine. But I'm 69. I guess that might be young. I don't know. I mean, I feel
You
young. So thanks for that.
you are younger than both of my parents, Dave. And I'll be honest, you look way fucking better than both of them. And it's all due to the mushrooms, of course. Shit. So we were talking about uh the wheel of time. I guess I don't want to say empathize. I understand what you're saying. I believe I guess what I've seen with psychedelics is a flow of time, I guess is the best way to explain it. Not in a scary way or anything, but something that made me feel so insignificant when the journey was done, because it felt like it was showing me something such like so much bigger, right, than even my big ideas can really, perceive appropriately. Um, I'm wondering now it's coming back to me. I'm wondering that moment that it keeps taking back to, and you say it wasn't significant. Was that an extremely happy time? Was that a happy moment, memory in your life? Maybe you were, the way you were feeling at that particular moment, it was either a decision point or, I don't know. But if it's taking you back there, maybe it's trying to show you something, right?
It's a really good point. It's a really good question. I would say it was a happy point in my life. Yes. Or, reasonably early in my marriage, we had 2 young kids. I was working as a dentist. I would have to say it was okay. It was not, there were many, many, many better times than just laying in bed taking a nap with the kids in the down the hallway taking a nap. There were like many, many events in my life that were like much more memorable. However, it's very interesting because maybe there weren't. Maybe this, for some reason, is supposed to be an extremely memorable part of my life, or it could be a part of my life where something was spliced together. And There was a movie. There was a movie. I can't remember what it was. Vanilla Sky, maybe. Really,
Loved it.
really weird. But did you? And I loved it, and it had a lot to do with like time. And ultimately, what happened was they ended up like splicing two like timelines together or something like that. So I don't know. I always think about things like that because that might have been a little bit sci-fi in some way. But I think with the time thing, we really don't understand it exactly, and how we perceive time. I'm almost guaranteeing it's not how it like really is. But I don't think anybody knows how it really is. That's the thing.
And that's the beauty of these conversations. I told you I like to live where there's no clear answer, right? Because some of these questions, when you start going down these rabbit holes, you're like, I really don't know, and maybe nobody knows, but I feel X about it, right? And that's where I feel like your faith comes in those ideas or theories.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting because again, we don't know the answer, and I don't think even the smartest scientists and physicists don't really know the answer for sure. There can be theories, but you're right. Circling back to the mushrooms, like I never thought about this kind of stuff before I started using psilocybin. I just, I was kind of like going along with the program. Okay, today is such and such a day. Tomorrow is this. I'm going to be a year older in a year. And, eventually there'll be a point where, my life is over because it only lasts a certain amount of time. And that's it. But, again, the psilocybin has shown me, at the very least, it's shown me that no, that's not really right. And the way we see time is nothing like the way it really is. And we can only imagine what it really is. And I don't know if we can, but we can. But I feel very strongly, Uncle, that that the way we see it is not reality at all. I feel strongly about that. But past that, it's very hard for me to explain.
I understand you, my friend.
Are you sure?
I can't write a book on it either, but I wish I had a counterpoint almost to bring up, but so much of what you're saying, I feel like I've been in those moments, right? I mean, not on right the scary ones that we've had on a couple of past episodes, but just um, you know, Saturday I popped a couple, I think 300 milligrams or something, and I was just so excited. I was like, the carpet ride is coming, knowing that, right? It's not that big of a dose. I was like, yeah, it's for the vibe, but I just felt so good. And I got a couple of those little introspection hits on some things that I hadn't even been thinking about for weeks, right? And I love it because sometimes it's just so refreshing to be reminded, like, man, these plants, I say plants because I like to self-medicate with a lot, but they're really helping us. And I say us because I feel like it's not just me, obviously. Otherwise, media like this wouldn't exist.
And I'll tell you something else. I've got another like revelation that I've thought about too, equally as weird and crazy as the time thing. However, I think since we're getting closer to the end of this episode, I think I want to save this till next episode, if that's okay. I want to bring you back and talk about this because this might even be a little bit weirder than the time thing. It's just something that I really feel is going on or is not going on. But I want to share that with you. But we'll do that next episode. But before we close today, I want to share something with you that happened earlier today. I had an appointment. I had a medical appointment because about every 6 months, I'm trying to like stretch the time interval out longer and longer because I don't think this is really good, but I kind of need it now. I get a steroid injection in my knees, and I just had that done today. And it's not really that bad, although you definitely can feel, the injection. It's not the best thing in the world. So it's funny. So when the doctor was getting ready to give me the injection, and okay, so let back up for a second. So beforehand, I did I'd say like a pretty good size microdose, just because I wanted to kind of be feeling really good for this appointment for these injections, because again, they're not that much fun. But so I did like a nice size microdose. It was probably somewhere in the 300 range, something 300 milligram range. So as he's almost getting ready to inject into my knee, he says to me, "Okay, Dave, it's time for you to go into your happy place." And I'm thinking, if you only knew how much of a happy place I'm really in because of these mushrooms, and you're about to inject something into my knee. I'm loving this. So, but I didn't say anything. I said, okay, I'm ready to go into my happy place. That's all I said.
That's so awesome. I love stories like that, right? Or just, because like what a random moment for that to happen, right? And you were like, ah, yes, perfect.
I mean, the way he said it, it's on some level, it's almost like he knew. It's almost like he knew that I was using some plant medicine to enjoy this appointment. And he said, okay, it's time to go into your happy place. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm already in my happy place.
I like to say, that as much as I try to control everything, the universe is in control, right? We're just along for the ride in this skin suit. So why fight it? But it's so easier said than done. I know we're getting off of here. Let's stop.
No, the universe is definitely in control. I mean, some people wonder whether we have free choice throughout our lives. And I was working with somebody like a very short time ago, maybe 6 months ago, and he said to me, well, I don't think we even have free choice. And I said, well, I'm not going to use his name, but I said, hey, my friend, I don't know either, I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter, because let's just say we decided, somebody told us, you don't have free choice, everything's already pre-programmed in your life, everything that's going to happen, you still wouldn't do anything differently. We still have to go along through our timeline of life and still make the best choices that we think are best for us. We're not going to say, oh, I don't have free choice anymore, so I'm just going to do X or Y or Z, and it's going to be crazy. We're not going to do that. We're still going to live exactly the same way, whether or not we truly have free choice or not.
That was a good one. I think you're going to get lots of emails on that. So we might have part two for some feedback on that. I like it.
That'll work. And part two to this little one, I'm telling you, when I bring you back, and let's do it sooner rather than later.
Sure.
I'm going to talk to you about the other, kind of like the other revelation besides time, the other like very deep, strange thing I've been thinking about, that we see things totally different than this. I think the way it really is nothing like the way we perceive it. But that'll be like a little what's the word I'm looking for? A little teaser for the next time you and I are together. How's that, Uncle Hashi?
That sounds great. I might take a special dose just for the episode so we can really noodle on it.
That would be welcome and fun, of course. So I want to thank you for being here with me. It's always fun getting together with you, Uncle. And let's definitely do the other, because while it's fresh in my mind, I want to talk to you about this, because I want to get your opinion on this other thing. And it's, like I said, it's a little bit bizarre, but is it really bizarre? I don't think it's bizarre at all, but some people might look at it as, what's he thinking? What's going? But no, I think it's true. I'll share it next time.
I love it. Sounds good, Dave. Dave, thanks for having me again.
Uncle Hashi, also known as Jay, thanks again, and we will reconvene pretty soon. By the way, it's Dr. Dave. It's Microdose U. As I say at the end of every episode, I do love you, and that comes from my heart. I really do, because you're following me. I'm trying to help you get your life to exactly where you want it to be. And a brand new episode comes out every Wednesday and every Friday. Again, if you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button and enable your notifications, whether you're in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you are. Make sure you don't miss an episode coming up. Talk to you next time.